I came across this little bit right here that you guys are seeing in the B-roll footage from Club Random from Bill Maher, and it had William Shatner, who's like in his 80s now, and he's Canadian, and he's baffled on why it is that Kamala Harris lost the election.
Oh, that I understand. But inflation, prices have come down, the economy is good. I mean, I don't know why they voted against her.
Well,
against the party.
I certainly could go on and on about that. But basically, she was not a great candidate, let's be honest. When they asked,
why isn't she a great candidate? She combined several trends of thought here. Black, woman.
That's not a candidate. Those are, that's identity politics. That's one of the Democrats.
Those are elements.
Before we talk about all the craziness, I want to go ahead and give you guys a bit of a heads up. This video here, to go along with the second video of the day, are kind of going to be touching on the same themes. However, this one here is going to be looking more at the T issue and the race issue, whereas video number 2 is going to be talking more about the crime issue. Just giving you a heads up before we get started. With that right there out of the way, let's go ahead and get to the video. Now, guys, I did not make this video to make fun of William Shatner. I actually made this video to make fun of the person that you guys are seeing in the B-roll footage now, Jen Psaki. And I also made this video to explain to you guys why it was that, these people are, in fact, going to be doubling down on the woke, as you guys will see from this circle back here, who, by the way, I will be circling back from another story in this video, which will kind of help explain why it is that these people are stuck with it. Speaking of Miss Circleback, let's listen to this.
One that showed Vice President Harris talking about government funding for gender reaffirming care for prisoners and detainees. If that sounds like a particularly obscure issue, it is, because it applies to a tiny group of people. And it's also a policy that, by the way, was in place during the first Trump presidency. Another one of the lines that ran over and over again in those ads and throughout right-wing media is this idea that America is faced with a crisis of boys playing in girls' sports. Now, these ads created this perception that the issues of trans kids playing sports was dominating schools across the country, which is completely false. Some people got pulled into that argument. I mean, immediately after the election, Congressman Seth Moulton told the New York Times that, quote, Democrats spend way too much time trying not to offend anyone rather than being brutally honest about the challenges many Americans face. I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. And then last weekend, Congressman Moulton came on this network to discuss those comments.
I was to speak.
And of course, they would go after Democratic Party Representative Seth Moulton, who basically stated that he did not like the idea of his daughters being forced to play sports against somebody who was not a biological female. There's currently an issue going on Capitol Hill right now where South Carolina Representative Nancy Mace just got a bill submitted to be voted on here real soon. Barring, let's just say that it's a bill that says that if you are a biological woman, you use the women's restroom. If you're a biological male, you use the men's restroom. And of course, the Democrats now have a trans representative who's obviously hop, skip, and mad about this. I'm going to be circling back to this story because, of course, it's kind of the culmination of what you guys are about to see. So sit tight. Speaking of Miss Circleback Lady, she would eventually go on Tim Miller's podcast to do what? Defend her take. Let's watch some of this.
You have people coming out and saying, we can never speak of trans kids in any positive fashion. And you're like, wait a second. First of all, there was an ad that was run that was effective about Kamala Harris's answer to an ACLU questionnaire, and her answer when she, for like a couple of months in 2019, about supporting the funding paying for gender affirming care for undocumented immigrants in prison, right? Prison.
Yes. Yeah.
First of all, I don't know who supports that. Why would most people support that? So let's just be clear about that. That doesn't mean that you can't say, you know what? There are kids out there who are struggling through mental health issues.
76 million people voted against the nonsense. 76 million people. 76 million people voted against it. Now, of course, I have talked about the Democratic Party. They have a punditry problem, and one of those pundits, of course, is a guy that you're seeing here in the B-roll footage, Jon Oliver, who basically, in his little spiel, said that transness in sports is about the equivalent as school shootings in the United States. That sounds a little bit hyperbolic, but let me play the clip for you, and I'm pretty sure you guys will figure out why I said what I said.
Ads on that one issue. And it was frustrating to see the Harris campaign fail to formulate a response, especially because it's pretty easy to do. Watch, I'll do it for you right now. As we've discussed before, there are vanishingly few trans girls competing in high schools anywhere. Even if there were more, trans kids, like all kids, vary in athletic ability, and there is no evidence they pose any threat to safety or fairness. It is very weird for you to be so focused on this subject. And finally, if you genuinely want to address the biggest concern for most girls who play high school sports, you'd be less worried about this and more about the creepy assistant volleyball coach who keeps liking their posts on fucking Instagram.
I'm sorry, just a bit of a nitpick here. I'm pretty sure that this study that will be linked in the description box, which by the way is by the way of the Daily Wire, but it's a UN study, United Nations study, showing exactly how many of these individuals that are supposedly rare, that Jon Oliver tells us are not that big of a deal, have actually won medals and how well they have done competing against biological women. I'm just going to just leave that there for the purpose of this video, but let's get back. It's very rare is basically what Jon Oliver is saying. It's a very, very rare thing. No real evidence of it at all. It's about the equivalent of somebody saying, well, you know, we only have like one school shooting in the country per month. That right there is pretty much what it sounds like. Now, guys, real quick. I did not make this video to debunk every single talking point that comes from John Miller or Jen Psaki. I did not make this video for that purpose. I made this video for the purpose of telling you guys that the woke thing is not going to be going away, and it just further confirms what I said in the video that I made last Friday, that the Democratic Party going forward is dead. But before I explain all that, make sure you guys please go ahead and cut the notifications on. Please go ahead and hit the like button. Please go ahead and subscribe if you guys are new here. You guys can follow me on Facebook. You can follow me on X, also known as Twitter. I still call it Twitter most of the time. You guys can follow me there. I'll try to leave links in the description box for you guys. And make sure you guys also hit like on the Facebook post too with the video, so that way it will also go up their algorithm as well. And let us go ahead and get it. So, how did I get to this topic? Well, there was a tweet that was put out by Razorfist. Well, it was actually a retweet by Razorfist of Matt Walsh. Matt Walsh basically believes that the woke thing is dead. Of course, Matt Walsh would then come back and have to contradict himself a little bit later on. I like Matt Walsh. He's great on the issues, but he's pretty bad when it comes to political strategy, just saying. And Razor was basically pointing out that, no, it's not dead. As a matter of fact, Sticks Hexenhammer made a video on this the other day, which I'll link in the description box. I'll also be linking this video here from Quiet Kills in the description box as well. This guy had a pretty good take on the current Democratic Party. I advise you guys check out. And he's speaking more from a moderate's perspective, but still though, Razorfist was basically saying, no, it will basically take a momentary pause and then it will be back. It may have come back a lot sooner than you might think, because obviously we have a transness Democratic Party representative who is upset right now that a Republican representative said boys go here and girls go there. As you can see, it's obviously still a national issue. It's going to continue to be a national issue. And once again, it's going to remind 76 million voters why it is that they voted for Donald Trump, and 74 million voters why it is that they're never going to be able to get away from this woke nonsense, which I want to go ahead and say right now. Most Democrat Party voters are not really woke. All right, I've talked about this before. I don't think I need to go too much into detail. And a lot of Democratic Party voters want the Democratic Party to abandon this nonsense. But they're going to continue to lose voters, and they're going to lose more and more and more going forward, as I explained in this video. But like I said, I'm going to circle back to that, like in the words of Jen Psaki towards the end of the video. So these people are, how do I say, they're allergic to listening. They don't listen. They don't take any actual accountability. They don't sit back and handle criticism very well. I mean, they don't exactly listen to their own. Now, guys, I've been very hard on Bill Maher, and you guys obviously saw Bill Maher at the very beginning of the B-roll footage. And, of course, we're going to go back to Bill Maher here in a second, because Bill Maher, like I said before, broken clock can be right twice a day. But of course, he is in fact a broken clock, and he doesn't even take his own advice. But he did say something in his monologue the other night that I did not play in the previous video that I'm going to play for you guys now that I thought was pretty daggone interesting, especially given the fact that people like myself and many others have basically been telling you that the data this Bill's about to show you is exactly what we've been saying this whole time. But let's roll it.
We did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on TikTok. And sexism, Hillary got 3 million more votes than Trump, which in a normal country would be called a victory. It wasn't 21st century sexism that prevented a woman from being president. It was the Electoral College. Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. They live here, and they actually see women and people of color. Country in the world. More blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. The votes are in. They don't want your pity. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people.
I mean, it's not like the American people didn't elect the first black president and then re-elect him. I mean, I'm just saying that race relations got worse when Obama was in office, not before, or not even before he got reelected. A lot of that was Obama's own doing too, and most people feel that way today. Just saying before we go any further. So obviously, there's a massive disconnect going on there between the Democratic Party and its voters. By the way, those white progressives, it's only about maybe 12% of the country total. I would say there's like an additional 10% that's just purely socialist, that's not progressive. And I would say it's altogether about maybe 25% of the Democratic Party base. Imagine trying to win elections when roughly a quarter of your base does not show up to vote for you because you don't do their bidding. I just figured I would say that before we go any further, because we got to talk about the next big issue, which is the donors and the donor class. So the other day, I'm listening to Richard Barris, the People's Pundit, probably the best pollster. As a matter of fact, he's actually turned out to be the most accurate pollster based upon the predictions him and Barnes gave out. I think I'll start listening to these guys more often, especially when it comes to picks on sports and stuff, because you never know, I might get involved in the gambling trade. Who the hell knows? But still, though, at the same time, he brought up Mark Halperin one more time. Let's watch this first part and then watch the second part, because at the end of the day, it always comes back to the donors.
And the new DNC finance chair, if they're going to rebuild the party, they need these same donors to write big checks in 24, 25, 26. And right now, and this happens after the party, either party loses, they're not in a check writing mood. They're not in the Zelle mood or wire transfer mood, because again, they were misled, maybe not on purpose. And then the big super PAC that supported the Harris campaign spent like close to $1 billion on their own, according to the New York Times. And again, people are wondering, was that money well spent? Those donors are wondering it. The activists, the consultants who weren't part of feeding at that trough are wondering, how did we lose with all that money?
All right, let me just stop them there. How did we lose with all of that money? That is
the donors had been told that she was going to win. Donors don't like handing out their money to losers. In that Quiet Kills video, there's an article that the man reads that basically states that Kamala Harris raised over $1 billion. And she spent close to $1 billion. And she actually owes roughly $1 billion this moment in time. A lot of money was given out to Beyonce. I'll talk more about that on the other end. A lot of money was given to Sharpton. A lot of money was given to Roland Martin. A lot of money, you'll find out, was given to Mike Barnes. You'll find out that a lot of money was given to a lot of people. From Kelly Rowland all the way to Oprah, all the way down the list of any celebrity that votes Democrat. Bruce Springsteen probably cashed in, and probably John Bon Jovi too, who, by the way, had to actually perform at Kamala Harris rallies. What I'm saying is that these people spent their money in the wrong place. These people wasted their money, and obviously these donors are pissed. We'll come back to this in a second, but let's watch this next part because I think this next part is basically what the Democratic Party voter base was saying to their candidate.
In Philly, everyone knows who this guy is. And they were furious that they didn't get any love from the Harris campaign, not only money-wise, but they didn't get any attention, right? These are the people who get the votes to the damn scanner, okay? And they got nothing. Like, he's like, yo, why don't you cut another check for Beyonce, you dumb bitch? Like, he was so mad. And he's like, I got none of this. We got none of this. Because what comes along with that is like, okay, I'm going to do this for you and make sure the votes get to the ballot box, to the scanner. But in return, you got to kind of listen. And here's our problems. But because they're working class problems, she wanted nothing to do with it.
Duh. Kamala Harris had Beyonce Knowles at a rally in Houston, which I don't understand why she did the rally in Houston. They lost instead of Texas by like 13 points. We actually now have pre-2012 levels of support for the Republican nominee in Texas now. I mean, there goes Blexus. There goes the possibility of blue Texas that Democrats wanted, which, by the way, I've been saying for a while they were never going to get. But of course, you had a concert, a gathering with 30,000 people that Beyonce was supposed to perform at. They sold that Beyonce was going to perform there, but she didn't. She came out and gave a 3-minute speech, and people left pissed off and angry. The point is this right here. They hoodwinked the literal shit out of their donors. They hoodwinked the shit out of their little voters. I talked this for a while, and they're in a lot of videos, that they hoodwinked the hell out of their audiences. They believed they were going to win because the people that they listened to, the Kyle Kalinskis, the David Packmans, the Jink Ugers, all these people, they told them that they were going to win, and then they lost. They've lost these people. Democrat Party voters typically tend to be front runners. They only show up when they believe that they are going to win. And now that they have believed that they were going to win, only to see them legitimately lose, these people are obviously pissed. But instead of pivoting back towards the center, instead of pivoting back to common sense, which is where they need to go, I did call this a while back. I said that they're going to be stuck with the wokeness because the stain of it's going to be there. And James Carville, who for once me and him actually agree for a change, the stink is going to be there for a very long time. Nobody is going to want to support this party. As a matter of fact, Red Eagle Politics, he made a very good point about the filibuster. He said the Democrats are not going to win back the Senate for a very long time. Go ahead and nuke it. They're probably not going to win the House either for a very long time. The culture is beginning to shift away from the Democrats, and even a lot of moderate Democrats will start opening their mouths and saying, look, I think the Republican Party just may be more me than the current Democratic Party. You're probably going to see some Democratic Party members change party or become independents here real soon. Just giving you the heads up. Basically, what Jen Psaki is doing is she is telling the Democratic Party to step over dollars to pick up dimes. That's basically what she's telling them to do. Also, another quick note, I need to say this really quick because this where it goes back to something that another one of their progressive loon commentators, Kyle Kalinske, said a while back about the possibility of a left-wing Tea Party or progressive Tea Party. It's never going to happen. The most progressive portion of the Democratic Party base lives in a handful of cities. New York, Boston, Chicago, Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, LA. Basically just great big giant big blue bastions. That's where they live at. And you can also include Denver, Minneapolis too, and you can also include Atlanta. The fact of the matter is that outside these very, very large metro areas, there's no desire for progressives or wokeness. But like I said, stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. That's what the hell is going on here. Which brings me to my final point. You guys remember earlier when I talked about this incident, this issue in Capitol Hill? You got this Democratic Party representative who happens to be trans is coming in. And of course, this person is upset that he's not going to be allowed to take a dump in the women's restroom because Nancy Mace has got a bill out there, which, by the way, I don't think that they've actually said that you could or could not use it, which of course is going to get handled with an executive order because the minute Trump gets in, he's probably going to sign an executive order banning it. You're probably going to see this person, this Democratic Party representative, try to do exactly what I just said inside the women's bathroom just to cause a scene. And of course, it's going to be on the national media because these people, quite frankly, can't help themselves because they have to virtue signal to the woke. It's going to become an issue again. It's going to remain an issue. However, the longer the issue is out there, the more and more and more people will begin to see exactly how loony these people are. And of course, that right there will be the final coup de grace on the woke. So no, it's not going away right now. But it will get beaten back officially, probably in the near future. figured I'd give you guys a bit of a white pill before I close this video. With that right there being said, this is going to be the first of 2 videos that are going to be coming out tomorrow. The other video I'm going to make tomorrow morning and get released. It's also going to be kind of touching on the same exact thing. However, from the perspective of crime, as you guys will see in that video there. And yes, we'll be talking about Anna Kasparian. Make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comments, and I'll see you guys later.